Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Jackson Browne.
Debbie, there's a gentleman here named Jeffrey Immediato. He says he's with Night Ritter.
They can call Abaca. I can give you their phone number.
He needs to call Abigail.
One of the things that Jim and I have in common, besides the haircut, is love of great music and its connection to social justice issues. One of the things we don't have in common is I've never been able to prepare anything. Jim was born prepared, and it's come out in everything he's done. He goes face on in everything that he approaches. I met Jim, I guess I met Jim a couple times before I actually got to be interviewed by him. I was invited to one of the Eagles' houses to see him interview Glenn Fry and Don Henley. And Don had told me, well, you see, you have to understand that in those days, as now, the battle lines are drawn. The battle lines were drawn then, and there were DJs who were playing what they wanted to play and taking you where they wanted to take you, taking us where we wanted to be taken. And there were DJs that would just make a lot of small talk and snappy banter. And Don took me inside and said, I really want you to know this guy. He's really one of us. And first time I was ever interviewed by Jim, I wasn't entirely comfortable with his direct questions and his engaging the lyrics in my songs so directly, because where I was from, you didn't talk about what your songs meant. You just sang your songs, and if they meant anything, people would know what they meant to them. But that didn't stop us from trying to interpret to each other the lyrics of, you know, the great rock songs as he did. But after a while I realized that it was this very thing that was being done on my behalf, to my audience and with my songs, and I got a little more used to it. Finally, I went to Jim's house around the time we did the Muse concert. And we knew we were sort of facing an uphill battle because not everybody wanted to talk about politics. It all boiled down to politics, and it's just a very commonly held belief that politics is bullshit. Well, you find out sooner or later that everything in life is political, whether you know it at the time or not. And we were trying to raise some political issues and get the attention of an audience that was used to feeling that it was not worth their trouble. And not only was he willing to interview us, but he made, I couldn't believe he did this, he printed up, this is final days, everybody, he printed up final copies of the interviews of all these musicians and all these activists, and he made them available to other DJs and other radio stations, and I'll never forget him for that. He was a real co-conspirator, a shaman, a soul shooter,
fearless leader,
and a justice freak, and as your very audience says, fearless leader. He's the voice we're willing to listen to as we stare into the fire.
Mr. Headsense!
It's a great pleasure to see him.
Can you please pass this down?
You know, there's only two ways you can do this. There's a way that to get a star on Hollywood Boulevard, you got to do the same thing that everybody from Art Linkletter to Bonnie Raitt did. Just work hard, have a vision, and stay with it. Or you can do it. I saw one person do that. They had gotten a linoleum cutting knife and put their name into one of these empty straws.
This feature.
I think I'll never forget it. Her name was Mary Crabtree. Anyway, such a pleasure to be here. I'm just be on hand to see Jim get his star on Hollywood Boulevard. Jim, one of us.